Today, law enforcement spent the day combing through a Lincoln County property connected to this case. Degree, you'll remember, was 9 years old when she went missing from her home in Shelby on Valentine's Day.
She was 9 years old and she was walking alone in the dark. It was Valentine's Day, 4 o'clock in the morning. A thunderstorm was tearing through the Carolina Piedmont, rain driving sideways across the highway, the kind of storm that bends trees and swallows headlights whole.
And moving south along the shoulder of North Carolina Highway 18, in white clothing and tennis shoes, was a small child. No adult, no car, no explanation. A commuter named Jeff Rupe saw her. He slowed, he turned around, he circled back 3 times, certain something was wrong, certain this child needed help. And when his headlights swept across her for the 3rd time, she ran. She left the road, crossed the shoulder, and disappeared into the woods alongside the highway. Jeff Rupe drove away. He didn't know what else to do. Asha Degree was never seen again. 26 years have passed. Her family still does not know where she is. Law enforcement has never made an arrest. And the question that has haunted investigators, her community, and her mother since the morning of February 14, 2000. The question of why a 9-year-old girl, who was afraid of the dark, afraid of dogs, and afraid of thunderstorms, walked out of a locked house in the middle of the night into one of the worst storms of the season, has never been answered. What happened to Asha Degree? This is the story of Asha Degree, a 9-year-old girl from Shelby, North Carolina, who vanished on Valentine's Day 2000 and became one of the most haunting unsolved cases in American history. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell. Cases like Asha's depend on people keeping them alive. Stay with us. Shelby sits in the foothills of western North Carolina, in Cleveland County, where the landscape softens from the sharp ridges of the Appalachians into rolling farmland and pine. It is a small city, the kind of place where families put down roots and stay, where children walk to school and neighbors know each other's names. In a subdivision on Shelby's northern edge, on a street called Oakcrest Drive, Harold and Aquila Degree were raising 2 children. Harold worked as a dock loader. Aquila worked as a piano maker. They were married on Valentine's Day, a date that would take on a second, devastating meaning. They ran a structured, religious household. Rules existed for good reason. Both parents worked, and Asha and her older brother O'Brien were latchkey children who let themselves in after school, locked the door, and waited. Strangers were not to be trusted. Doors were to stay locked. These were not arbitrary rules. They were the architecture of safety that Harold and Aquila built carefully around their children. Asha Degree was born on August 5, 1990. She was the younger of the 2 children, and by every account she was a child defined by generosity. Her mother would later describe her in simple, direct terms. She would give you the shirt off her back. If she had something you wanted, she gave it to you. She was, her mother said, a cloud child, like her father, soft, open, without edges. At Falston Elementary, she had recently been named Student of the Week. The prize was a lime green Tweety Bird purse, and Asha loved it. She was a good student, a compliant child, the kind of 9-year-old who did not cause trouble and did not attract alarm. She had a specific set of fears, the dark, dogs, thunderstorms, that her family knew well. She was not a bold child in the sense of seeking out danger. She was not the kind of child who wandered. Sunday, February 13, 2000, was an ordinary day by every available account. That evening, Harold picked up both children and they came home together. Dinner, routine. The evening moved normally until a vehicle collision somewhere in the neighborhood severed a utility pole and knocked out power to Oakcrest Drive at around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Because of the outage, the children went to bed early, without their evening bath, the lights gone, the house dark. They fell asleep in the room they shared, O'Brien in his bed and Asha in hers. Harold checked on them at 12:30 a.m. Power had just been restored. He walked through the house, checked the heaters, and looked in on his children. Both were asleep. He shut their bedroom door and went back to bed. At 2:30 a.m., Harold checked again. Both children were in their beds. He shut the door. He went to sleep. That was the last time anyone in the Degree family saw Asha. Sometime in the hours that followed, after 2:30 a.m., before she was spotted on Highway 18 at approximately 3:45 a.m., Asha got out of bed. She dressed herself in her school clothes. She packed her black book bag with specific chosen items, a white nylon shirt, black overalls, a red vest, and her favorite pair of blue jeans with a red stripe. She took her lime green Tweety Bird purse. She moved through the locked house without waking her brother, without waking her parents. She went out into the storm. O'Brien would later tell investigators he heard Asha's bed squeak in the dark. He thought she was just shifting in her sleep. He didn't get up. He didn't check. He had no reason to. By the time Aquila Degree woke at around 5:45 in the morning to draw a bath, compensating for the bath the children had missed during the outage, her daughter had been gone for hours. The storm that moved through Cleveland County on the night of February 13th into February 14th, 2000, was severe. Heavy rain, high wind, the kind of conditions that keep adults indoors, that make driving difficult, that would make a 9-year-old child on foot along a rural highway nearly invisible to approaching headlights. She was not invisible, she was spotted. Between 3:45 and 4:15 in the morning, 2 motorists independently reported seeing a small figure walking south along the shoulder of North Carolina Highway 18, near its intersection with Highway 180. Both described a child in white clothing. One of those motorists was Jeff Rupe. He saw her, registered immediately that something was wrong, and turned his vehicle around. He came back. He came back again. 3 passes along that stretch of highway. 3 times his headlights swept across the small figure on the shoulder. On the 3rd pass, Asha ran. She left the road and disappeared into the woods. Rupe drove on. He reported what he had seen, and when investigators responded to the area the following day, February 15th, they searched a property just off the highway, a shed on the grounds of a business called Debbie Turner Upholstery. In the doorway of that shed, they found several items that Harold and Aquila Degree identified as belonging to their daughter. A yellow hair bow with a bear on it, a green marker, an Atlanta 1996 Olympics pencil, and candy wrappers. The items suggest Asha stopped at the shed, likely to shelter briefly from the rain. The shed was not her destination. She left it, or was taken from it, and vanished. Also found among those items was a wallet-sized photograph of an unidentified young girl. Harold and Aquila did not recognize it. It did not belong to Asha. Investigators were never able to definitively link it to any known associate of their daughter. As of 2026, that photograph remains unexplained. Beyond those items in the shed doorway, no further physical evidence was found during the initial search. Tracking dogs were deployed. Aerial infrared was used. Human search chains worked a multi-mile radius around the area where Asha was last seen. The woods yielded nothing. The highway yielded nothing. Asha Degree was gone. 17 months later, in August 2001, a grading contractor named Terry Fleming was clearing brush with a track hoe on a vacant lot in Burke County, approximately 26 miles north of the Degree family home, preparing to cut a new driveway into a hillside. The track hoe struck something buried in the embankment. Fleming investigated. He found a bulky package wrapped in 2 sealed black plastic garbage bags, double wrapped, the inner bag sealed inside the outer. Inside the bags was a child's black book bag. Inside the book bag, a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt, and a copy of the Dr. Seuss book McElligot's Pool. Neither item belonged to Asha Degree. The book was traced to the library at Falston Elementary, Asha's own school. But school records confirmed she had never checked it out. The t-shirt had no established connection to her. These were not her possessions. Someone had placed them inside her bag. The bag had then been deliberately double-sealed in garbage bags and buried in an embankment off NC Highway 18 South, near Laurel Creek, adjacent to a property that had once operated as the Mountain Creek Bed and Breakfast. The FBI transported the backpack and its contents to the laboratory at Quantico. The double bagging was noted immediately as evidence of premeditation, a deliberate effort to protect the contents from environmental degradation and conceal them from discovery. This was not an accident. This was not the bag dropped by a frightened child. This was a package prepared and buried by someone who knew what they were doing. No human remains belonging to Asha Degree have ever been recovered. A highly publicized excavation in Lawndale, North Carolina, yielded bone fragments that forensic analysts confirmed were animal, not human. Where Asha is remains unknown. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office responded to the missing persons report on the morning of February 14, 2000. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation was called in. Within days, the FBI's Charlotte Field Office had entered the case. The early operative hypothesis was a runaway. Asha had packed a bag. She had dressed herself. She had left of her own apparent volition, without signs of forced entry, without a struggle, without an alarm raised in the household. Investigators approached the case under the assumption that a 9-year-old had, for reasons unknown, decided to leave in the middle of a February thunderstorm.
Foul play was suspected, given her age, but the formal framing remained: missing child. That framing would persist, officially, for nearly a quarter of a century. In the weeks after Asha's disappearance, billboards went up along Highway 18 and Highway 180, near her last known location, near her family's church in Waco. Her face, the reward amount, a phone number. Those billboards would stand for 26 years, updated over time with age-progressed images and escalating reward figures. They became a permanent feature of the Cleveland County landscape, a daily reminder that the question had not been answered. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children worked alongside federal and state investigators. NCMEC released age-progressed forensic images of Asha, depicting what she might look like as she grew older. In 2015, they released an image showing her at age 24. In February 2020, a second image depicted her at age 29. These images were integrated into billboard campaigns across the greater Charlotte region, kept visible by Adams Outdoor Advertising. If you followed this case before, or if this is your first time hearing Asha's name, subscribe and hit the bell. This is one of the longest-running unsolved child disappearance cases in North Carolina history. New developments are still emerging. In 2015, the FBI initiated what it described as a top-to-bottom re-examination of the case. 15 years of physical case files were digitized. Modern analytical frameworks were applied to evidence that had been collected and cataloged before many of those methods existed. The investigation that had slowed was forced back to motion. In 2017, the FBI deployed its Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, the CARD team, to Shelby. CARD is a specialized unit trained specifically in the behavioral analysis and logistical tracking of abducted children. Their deployment was not routine. It was a signal that the FBI was treating the Asha Degree case as an active, solvable abduction, not a historical cold case awaiting a lucky break. The reward that had been offered grew. By 2026, a combined total of $100,000 was active and confirmed. The FBI contributed $50,000. The state of North Carolina, authorized by Governor Josh Stein, contributed $25,000. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and local community donations accounted for $20,000. The North Carolina SBI contributed $5,000. The reward was offered for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Then, in 2024, something broke. Advanced DNA extraction technology was applied to the backpack recovered from Burke County, the bag that had been buried for 17 months before Terry Fleming's track hoe found it in August 2001. The FBI laboratory extracted 2 distinct genetic profiles from the evidence. The first came from touch DNA on the exterior of the black garbage bags, the bags that had been used to double wrap and bury Asha's backpack. That profile matched a man named Russell Bradley Underhill. Underhill had died in 2004. At the time of the burial, he had been an elderly resident of a care facility operated by a couple named Roy and Connie Dedmon. The second DNA profile came from a hair stem found inside the backpack, clinging to an undershirt. That profile matched Anna Lee Victoria Dedmon Ramirez, the youngest daughter of Roy and Connie Dedmon, who had been 13 years old in February 2000. The connection between the Dedmon family and the buried backpack of a murdered child had been established in a federal laboratory. The investigation that had stretched across 24 years arrived at a name. Stay with us. What investigators found when they looked at the Dedmon family, and what a witness said at a party more than a decade after Asha disappeared, changes everything about what we know of this case. Roy Lee Dedmon and Connie Elliott Dedmon lived in Cleveland County. They operated a care facility for elderly residents. They had 3 daughters: Lizzie Grace Dedmon Foster, who was 16 years old in February 2000, Sarah Gwen Dedmon Capel, who was 15, and Anna Lee Victoria Dedmon Ramirez, the youngest, who was 13. In September 2024, state and federal authorities executed search warrants on properties owned by the Dedmon family across Cleveland, Lincoln, and Mecklenburg counties. A property at 601 Cherryville Road in Shelby was among those raided. From that property, investigators removed a dark green 1964 AMC Rambler. That vehicle matters. Eyewitness accounts from the night of February 14, 2000 included a report of a dark green vehicle, described as appearing to be from the 1970s era, seen on Highway 18 near where Asha was last spotted. The Rambler recovered from the Dedmon property did not match that description precisely, but it aligned in color and general profile closely enough that investigators treated it as significant. It was seized. It was examined. Also seized from Dedmon properties: socks, a sweater, trace physical evidence subjected to MVAC DNA collection protocols, a technology that extracts biological material from fabric and porous surfaces with a level of sensitivity that older methods could not achieve. In February 2025, investigators returned with additional warrants.
An Apple iPhone 11 Pro belonging to Roy Dedmon was seized. The warrants compelled biometric access to the device, meaning investigators were authorized to use Roy Dedmon's own fingerprint or facial recognition to unlock it, circumventing encryption. What they were looking for was communications, evidence of an ongoing conspiracy to conceal what had happened to Asha Degree. The probable cause affidavits unsealed in late 2024 and early 2025 laid out the investigative theory in formal legal language. The Dedmon family were suspects in the homicide of Asha Degree and in common law felony obstruction of justice. The working framework was adult assistance. Because the Dedmon daughters were minors in 2000, investigators theorized that Roy and Connie Dedmon had actively assisted in concealing the crime and disposing of the evidence, which would explain how a 13-year-old girl's DNA ended up inside a buried backpack, and how an elderly care home resident's DNA ended up on the garbage bags used to bury it. The bags were consistent with materials available through a residential care operation. The theory of how Asha came to be in contact with the Dedmon family was supported by the eyewitness geography. Jeff Rupe last saw her running into the woods off Highway 18. The woods she ran into placed her in the vicinity of where the Highway 18 corridor continues north toward Burke County, the same corridor where her backpack was buried 26 miles away. Investigators theorized that Asha's flight from Rupe's headlights may have driven her directly toward the vehicle or individuals who killed her. In September 2024, a man named Thad Valentine gave investigators a statement. Valentine said he had attended a party in the mid-2000s. At that party, he had observed Lizzie Foster, by then an adult, and intoxicated, sobbing, and saying aloud, "I killed Asha Degree." Valentine said Sarah Capel physically grabbed her sister and ordered her to stop talking. Valentine submitted to a polygraph examination. He passed. When investigators approached Lizzie Foster in February 2025, she submitted to a polygraph as well. She reportedly showed deception. Subpoenaed iCloud data and the contents of seized iPhones revealed text messages exchanged between the sisters following police contact. Annalie texted, "I am so sorry I just said all that. I am just in complete shock." Lizzie replied, "It's okay. I'm leaving school." Those messages became the foundation of the felony obstruction of justice warrants. As of early 2026, no arrests have been publicly confirmed. No indictments have been publicly logged. The Dedmon family remains under active investigation. There has been no trial. As of the broadcast of WBTV's 26th anniversary coverage in February 2026, no member of the Dedmon family has been formally charged in connection with the disappearance and suspected homicide of Asha Degree. The legal proceedings that exist are search warrants and probable cause affidavits, documents that authorize investigators to gather evidence, not documents that represent a completed prosecutorial case. What those documents do represent is the most significant legal development in the 26-year history of this investigation. For the first time, a court of law has received sworn affidavits asserting that Asha Degree was the victim of a homicide, and that specific, named individuals are suspects in that homicide and in the obstruction of the investigation that followed. This is the moment in the investigation where the public record ends and the active legal process continues behind closed doors. What we know from the documents that have been unsealed: DNA evidence connects the Dedmon family to physical evidence from the crime. A witness has given sworn testimony that he heard a member of that family confess to the killing. Digital communications between family members, obtained through legal subpoena, suggest awareness of criminal exposure and efforts to manage it. What we do not know, whether the evidence, as it currently stands, is sufficient to support criminal charges that can survive a prosecution. What specific role, if any, each named family member played, whether Roy and Connie Dedmon, the parents, directed or simply concealed, whether charges will target one member of the family or several. If charges are filed in this case, this documentary will be updated. If you want to be notified the moment that happens, subscribe now, and make sure the bell notification is on. This case is still moving. The standard for a criminal conviction is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The standard for a search warrant is probable cause, a meaningfully lower bar. The distance between where this investigation stands today and a conviction is still unknown. What is not unknown? After 26 years, investigators know whose DNA was on those garbage bags. They know whose hair was inside that bag. They have a sworn witness account of a confession. And they have text messages suggesting that account rattled someone enough to prompt an immediate and panicked response. The case that was classified for 24 years as a missing persons investigation is now, in the official language of the courts, a homicide. Eyewitness Degree has said publicly that she does not believe her daughter is dead. She has said it clearly and repeatedly over 26 years, including on camera for WBTV's anniversary coverage. Until somebody bring the proof, concrete proof she is dead, I don't believe it. I don't feel it. She described the approach of Valentine's Day each year as a period when she cannot sleep, when her emotions destabilize, when the roller coaster, her word, begins again. She and Harold were married on Valentine's Day. The anniversary of their marriage and the anniversary of their daughter's disappearance are the same day. She has not given up. Even if everybody else gives up, we can't give up until we know for sure one way or the other. Harold Degree confirmed both the 12:30 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. checks that night. He was in the house. He checked on his children twice in the pre-dawn hours, and both times found them asleep. He shut their door. The house showed no signs of forced entry. No exterior doors were found unlocked. How Asha left without triggering any alarm, auditory or physical, is a question the evidence has not answered. O'Brien Degree was 10 years old and asleep in the bed next to his sister. He heard the squeak of her mattress in the dark. He thought nothing of it. He was 10. He did not know. The photograph found in the shed at Debbie Turner Upholstery has never been identified. The unidentified young girl in that image has never been connected to Asha or to anyone in her orbit. It may be relevant. It may not be. It remains in the evidence record, unexplained. The questions that remain unanswered after 26 years and an active homicide investigation. Where are Asha's remains? No human remains have ever been recovered. The investigation has never publicly identified a burial or disposal site. What induced Asha to leave the house? Behavioral profilers have noted that her known fears, darkness, dogs, storms, make a voluntary departure into a severe thunderstorm at 3 a.m. profoundly anomalous. The specificity of what she packed and the apparent premeditation suggest she was going to meet someone or responding to a powerful lure. The nature of that lure has never been established in the public record. What happened in the woods off Highway 18 after Jeff Rupe watched her run from the road? The investigation has never publicly established the precise location or circumstances of her death. What exact role did each member of the Dedmon family play? The warrants name Roy, Connie, Lizzie, Sarah, and Annalie. The documents assert adult assistance in concealment. The specific criminal acts attributed to each individual have not been fully established in any public filing. Will charges be filed? As of early 2026, that question is open. 26 years is a long time to carry a question. Aquila and Harold Degree have carried it through every Valentine's Day since 2000, through every age-progressed image released to the public, through every billboard updated on Highway 18, through every development and dead end and anniversary broadcast. They have carried it with the knowledge that somewhere someone knows what happened and has chosen, for 26 years, not to say so. The investigation has arrived at a name. The courts have received sworn affidavits. DNA extracted by technology that did not exist when Asha Degree was 9 years old has placed specific individuals in contact with the evidence of her disappearance. A witness has given sworn testimony. Text messages have been subpoenaed. A green car has been seized. Whether that is enough, whether justice comes for Asha Degree, is not yet known. What is known is this. On the morning of February 14, 2000, Asha Jaquila Degree left her home on Oakcrest Drive, walked into a thunderstorm in the dark, and disappeared from the world. She would be 35 years old today. Her mother has never stopped waiting. If you know anything about what happened to Asha Degree, contact the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office or the FBI's Charlotte Field Office. A $100,000 reward remains active. Subscribe and leave a comment below. Where are you watching from? And had you heard Asha's name before today? Keeping her name alive is the least we can do.